Hello everyone, my name is Dennis with DonkSec or Donk Security, whatever heart desires, and in today's video we're going to be going over the Reveal Lab by CyberDefenders. So here's our scenario here. We're a forensic investigator at a financial institution and you're seeing flagged unusual activity on a workstation with access to sensitive financial data. Suspecting a breach, you receive the memory dump from the compromised machine. Your task is to analyze the memory for signs of compromise, trace the anomaly's origin, and assess its scope to contain the incident effectively. So the tools that we're mainly going to be using is Volatility is a really good tool, especially for digital forensics, to where you want to analyze a dump file for this particular example. Obviously, first things first is you want to download the zip file and you want to extract the zip file using this password right here. And then it does say a disclaimer if you want to do some dynamic analysis labs. Definitely for a safe experience, you want to contain the file and you want to create a virtual machine and do the file from there. But for this instance, since we're only using volatility and it's a .dump file and it's not dynamic, that we're looking at malware, if how it spreads or whatever, blah. Only thing that we're going to be doing is going onto our command prompt using volatility commands and just analyzing what the attacker, the threat actor, leaves behind as IOCs or artifacts. Yeah, like always, already completed this lab. This video is just the main purpose is to provide a more in-depth example of all of these questions. Obviously, already did a bunch of short form content for this lab. So let's get straight into the lab here. Question 1 right here. Identifying the name of the malicious process helps in understanding the nature of the attack. What is the name of the malicious process? So we're going to go to command prompt here and we're going to type this command in. Basically what this command does is see if the .dump file is being used by a Windows operating system or a Linux operating system. The reason why is because different plugins and tools that we use in Volatility all depends on the operating system. So after copy pasting that command, we do get what the dump file entails and we do see Windows. So now that we know, we can use Windows volatility commands to analyze this .dump file. So to answer question number 1 now, we use python vol.py and then we do the .dump file, then we do windows.process tree. Basically what it does is give this right here bunch of processes and its tree. So here we see process ID and then process parent ID and then the image file name. And we do see its path. So that's kind of what we're going to be analyzing here. Mainly what we're looking for is either a weird image file name or a weird path for that image file name. So some of these certifications I've done, some of these image file names are malicious, and that's because attackers like to use actual Windows processes to carry out their actions on objectives. So let's look at LSAS, let's look at services, let's look at SVC host. Looks legit. I mean, we're not seeing any major red flags. Runtime broker as well, WPMI Skype app. Literally any of these could be malicious, but we scroll down here and we do see something that causes a concern. So we do see PowerShell.exe and we do see hidden net use. We do see an IP address. We do see a DLL run dill. And then we do see another IP address. I assume it's the same one. Yeah, it's the same one. Yeah. I do see a 3425.dll and I do see net.exe as well that correlates with the PowerShell. Net.exe uses the IP address. Okay, so there's either two malicious processes out there. It's either net.exe or PowerShell.exe, and based on all of these stars above the answer choice, the answer will be PowerShell.exe. Question number 2 says, knowing the parent process ID PPID, what I just talked about, of the malicious process aids in tracing the process hierarchy and understanding the attack flow. What is the parent PID of the malicious process? So basically what I was talking about earlier, we go all the way to the top here and we just want to see PPID. We do see PPID, so we can scroll down and we do see PowerShell.exe with the malicious process of 4120. So to solve question 2, 4120, before we jump onto question 3 here, we gotta understand what the threat actor is trying to do here. So we can see here PowerShell minus Windows style hidden net use means that PowerShell is silently being run on the victim's operating system using hidden net use. So it seems like net.exe is using the IP and the 4 ports on the threat actor's server to create kind of like a shared network drive, like a local folder, meaning that the person, whoever IP address this is, can drop any files onto the victim's operating system using that shared network drive slash folder. And then from there, 3435.dll is basically going to tell run DIL32, which is sometimes a legitimate or illegitimate Windows program service, to run 3435.dll malicious code or whatever payload that this DLL contains. So if you guys have no clue what I'm talking about, try to summarize this the best that I can. NetExe opens the door to the hacker's folder. So NetExe creates that network drive slash folder drive that I was talking about, and then run DL32, which is can be a Windows legitimate or illegitimate program, runs the bad file, which is that.dll that I was just talking about, 3435.dll from inside it, and then from there, the attacker, can either run code, execute its payload. Okay, so now kind of solved some of the questions here. So question number 3 here, determine the file name used by the malware for executing the second stage payload is crucial for identifying subsequent malicious activities. What is the file name that the malware uses to execute the second stage payload? So like I just said before, .dll3435 is the malicious file name. Question number 4 here says, identifying the shared directory on the remote server helps trace the resources targeted by the attacker. What is the name of the shared directory being accessed on the remote server? So yeah, this would be basically what I was talking about with the attacker uses NetExe to create a shared directory folder. This would be the name of that shared directory remote server slash folder. This is the root. Basically what I'm doing, just getting all the answers from right here. Pretty easy stuff so far. And then what is the MITRE ATT&CK subtechnique ID that describes the execution of a second stage payload using a Windows utility to run the malicious file? So yeah, MITRE ATT&CK framework, really important. So yeah, really important framework, completely free by the way. Basically there's 14 tactics. Each of those tactics, they have techniques, and each of those techniques, they have sub-techniques. So this is kind of like the cyber kill chain, like the attacker uses reconnaissance and then completes their multi-stage kill chain, and from there they complete their actions on objectives. This is just how the threat actor can accomplish that using specific tactics, techniques, and sub-techniques. So quick example here. Reconnaissance, I can gather victim information by crafting a phishing email using an initial access. From there, after the user clicks on the phishing email link, user execution. And then from there, maybe I can establish persistence by changing the registry run key. There, I can use lateral movement by internal spear phishing, where I try to target maybe the CEO of the organization, someone that's big up on the chain, from there where they have like a privileged admin account. Then after I completed that tactic, I gained command and control by maybe beaconing that operating system that I just infected with my malicious IP operating system, and then from there I can exfiltrate data. So yeah, pretty basic example I gave, try to make it as newbie friendly as possible, but that is the MITRE ATT&CK techniques that this question is going to be talking about. So we're looking at a sub technique that describes the execution of a second stage payload using a Windows utility. So remember how I was saying some Windows utility can either be legitimate or illegitimate? So what I was talking about was with run the DIL32, right? System binary proxy execution. Adversaries may abuse run DLL to proxy execution of malicious code. Then we can get a better description here. Executing payloads, okay. Yeah, blah. So yeah, and then what we're looking for is just the technique ID, so that will be the answer right there. The ID of T1218, yep, that should be the answer. Okay, now we're pivoting back. We're going to be using one more last volatility tool. Not tool, excuse me, just one last command. Identifying the username under which the malicious process runs helps in assessing the compromised account and its potential impact. What is the username that the malicious process runs under? We're trying to find the account that got pwned, and by doing so, which malicious process maps to the account that got compromised. So remember what I was talking about with the PIDs? One way we can check on which account is running these specific commands is by the PIDs. So for example, we can look at maybe the PPID. parent process ID 4120 or a PID 3692. We can also look at 3692 for the PPID again, so you see how these two are connected. And then we can look at the process ID for 2416. So this is the command that I'm going to copy and paste now. Windows.sessions, pretty self-explanatory here. We see that all of the EXEs, and we're going to see which EXE that has the same either 4 or actually it's 3 PIDs slash PPIDs that I saw from above here that relate to PowerShell or NetEXE. So I see NetEXE 2416 for Elon. Doesn't really give me the best answer that I hope for, but I do see PowerShell.exe with 3692, and I do see 3692 show up again, so that's very likely that's connected, right? Especially with 3692 is tying both with PowerShell.exe and NetEXE. I can see that the desktop that has been compromised is Elon. So from there, I can know for sure that Elon is the username that the malicious process runs under. Question 7 here, knowing the name of the malware family is essential for correlating the attack with known threats and developing appropriate defenses. What is the name of the malware family? So there's a bunch of different ways we can find the malware family. One of the ways is that we can just look at the IP address. We just want to copy, but we don't want to paste this exactly onto our Google Chrome browser because it'll say that the IP is not safe. So just type in IP to the right here, and then we can see that the IP is flagged on one of the public checkers, such as VirusTotal. It's flagged 12 out of 94 times. Called Stera Stealer, okay, used by actively stealing email account credentials from Outlook, Thunderbird, okay, searches the app data, okay, that's definitely not what is happening. It is kind of connecting to a command and control server, not really what's happening with our scenario though, but it's talking about the malware family, so maybe we can just do some more research on here. Malware family of Stera Stealer. Yeah, a bunch of like news, wave of phishing attacks, delivering mouse hero alert. Yeah, so, and it does say right here, malware family, extract email account login credentials. Oh, okay. So yeah, that will be the answer for question 7 here, Stera Stealer. And yeah, that is the full lab. Let me know if you have any questions down below. And thank you for watching. I'll see you when I see you in my next video. Peace out.